Hello, and welcome to 5 Minutes for Freedom. This is where I share little gems to encourage you forward. Today, I'm going to be talking about scenarios. Scenarios. You know what I mean. Those little ideas that keep creeping into your mind. They could be considered scenes from a play. It happens, generally speaking, when we're looking toward the future, something that's coming up that it could be really, really good, but oftentimes it might be difficult. And so we think, well, if this happens, then I'm going to say this. And if that happens, I'm going to do that. Or it might just look like, oh yeah, I have to such and such, and there's this whole little, I'm going to approach it this way, I'm going to go about this other thing, when really it's the future. We don't know for sure what's going to come up. Now, if you're like me and some of my friends, we tend to do that a lot, and it's generally never enough to just have a single scenario. Because once we give our mind to move in that direction, then suddenly, well, yeah, but that might not work. Or the details switch up because you're thinking about it happening in a couple of days, and then the situation moves on to a distant date or whatever. Look, I suspect if you're a woman, you already know what I'm talking about. I'm Sandra Allen Lovelace. I'm a life coach who happens to support women in their transformation. So I call myself a transformation coach. And this dynamic that I'm talking about today, the scenarios, it tends to be one of the things that really drains us and holds us back from that abundant life, the life of peace, of wholeness and freedom that we want to live. We're really literally held back from it. As a matter of fact, when I was thinking about this idea for myself and my own growth and journey, this is the image I got in my mind. It's the story, it comes from the story of Gulliver's Travels. Do you know the book? It's the story of a man who falls asleep. And while he's sleeping, little people come and tie him down with strands of cord. So he wakes up and he's not able to move. Have you noticed how the scenarios can practically paralyze you? That they do indeed bind you? And sometimes they actually might make us feel a little crazy when we come up with number 5 or number 6. Because the reality is, we don't know what the future is going to hold. And so I just wanted to come in here and encourage you in this being bound by our minds dynamic. And I want to use a portion of scripture, actually, because the truth will set us free. And this is the facts. It comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 10, and it's verses 3 through 5. Now, I want to read it first in the New American Standard, but I'm just going to read verse 5. We are destroying arguments and all arrogance raised against the knowledge of God, and we are taking every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. Probably you've heard that translation or something like it. But I just want to point out that in this occasion, if we go back to the King James, it says, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing it into captivity, every thought to the obedience of Christ. That's what we need to do to get a handle on all this. Just say stop. The fact is, only God knows the future. Only God knows what's going to happen. And so we can ask him to prepare us for whatever details he has in mind. For us, by mind, body, spirit, to be prepared to listen to him at that time with whatever he's given us to be ready. Okay, that's the first little piece. I've got more to say on that topic. Sandra Allen Lovelace at gmail.com.